Thank you and good evening. And there's two things that stand out initially for me. One is that we don't serve you food, so that's hopefully a bit of a blessing, other than our Harvard scholarship. So that's a different process that I'll talk about. And secondly, I'm not a scholar. I'm nowhere near as clever as these three previous speakers, but what I can share with you is I have been on a lot of selection panels. I have designed, in collaboration with universities and not-for-profits, a number of scholarships and developed them. So what I have to offer is a broad experience around what works, what types of candidates are being selected in that process, and what people are standing out for in that process. And you will hear similar themes as we go along anyway. So there'll be a bit of repetition, but also just some points of difference. So I don't have a PowerPoint, so hopefully just me is okay for a few minutes. Just for those of you who don't know, the Sir Robert Menzies Memorial Foundation was set up 35 years ago in memory of Sir Robert, who was Australia's longest serving Prime Minister, and he was actually Chancellor of Melbourne University for 3 consecutive terms as well. So we're a non-political, not-for-profit at a national level, and the really key thing there is non-political. And you don't have to be a Liberal person or anything like that to have any association with us at all. We don't get involved in any politics at all. And the main focus for us is around access to education, not only at a secondary level, which we're just developing, but also into a tertiary level. So Sir Robert himself was a scholar who was awarded a scholarship from Ballarat to go to Melbourne University to study law. He also got a scholarship, from Ballarat to Wesley College to Melbourne University. So for us, the opportunity, and also then became Prime Minister. But to see what scholarships can do for particularly young people, and particularly people who perhaps don't have access to have an international experience, is what we're about. So I guess I wanted to share with you, we're discipline specific with our scholarships almost entirely. So we obviously have all of this on the website, but I do want to just give you a snapshot of the types of scholarships that we have, but also the things that the selection panel really pull out as points of difference that may be of use to you, just to get that edge on someone else. So we have, first of all, we have a postgraduate research scholarship in allied health. So that is, if you've already started your doctorate, then you can apply for that scholarship for 2 years. That just opened today, and you can hop online and check the prospectus. We have an online application process now, so everything is done via that service, and it's very straightforward and hopefully very easy. We have 2 law scholarships, which are to study overseas. Obviously, we originally had scholarships to the UK, but we actually now have opened those up to Asia as well. But our strong association with the UK is historical, and that may take some time, but you're most welcome to apply for our law scholarships if you want to go somewhere other than the UK. One is in international law that is set up in honour of St Ninian Stephen, and that's just new. And the second one is for general law, interest in postgraduate studies in the area of law. Most of our scholars end up at Oxford and Cambridge doing a Bachelor of Civil Law or a BCL, but by all means that is not what we're looking for. At any area of postgraduate study in law, you're eligible to apply. Again, all of our scholarships open from now through to about October. They're staged, and the open dates will be on the website. We also have a postgraduate scholarship in engineering, and we're really keen. That was originally for a 1-year study. Historically, that's been again with the UK, but we have now opened that up to Asia as well. So if any of you are interested in engineering postgraduate work, and particularly in the Asia region, we'd really encourage you to apply. And lastly, we have, before I talk about fellowships, we have a scholarship to Harvard. Now, that is a general scholarship. We awarded 3 just about a month ago, and that's in partnership with the Harvard Club of Australia and Australian National University. And it does sometimes be 2 or 3. That is not discipline specific, so if there's something specifically at Harvard that you would like to undertake in the area of postgraduate study that is going to complement, and I'll come back to some of the criteria, but what you're currently doing as an undergraduate course, then you can certainly have a look at that prospectus. That is through the Australian National University website, but the link you can get to from our website to see that one. So there's usually 2 or 3 of those every year that are awarded as well. So that's just to keep in mind if you don't fit into those other disciplines. Our fellowship is a medical fellowship with the NHMRC, and again that's administered through the NHMRC, so you'll have to access it through their website. But that's a medical fellowship, a 4-year fellowship of 2 years overseas and 2 years back in Australia, and we contribute to that fellowship for that study, and the NHMRC obviously contribute too because they're very expensive fellowships. So they're very specific for us in terms of what we offer, and in total it's generally around 6 to 8 scholarships a year. So those disciplines I mentioned are all about 1, sometimes 2, so it's quite tight. Being a not-for-profit organisation, then we're able to provide monies that we have at the time in that particular year. And of course we see, as Carolyn indicated, way more candidates who are completely eligible, but it's just about choosing that 1 or 2, which is really tough. So just on that note, I guess, you know, having sat in the selection processes up until really recently and like a number of people here, there's a really strong theme that you'll see continuously is not only about academia, but your community contribution. And what I would say to you is, when you're talking about your community contribution in your application, but also in your interview stage, if you get to that, it's not only about what it's actually helped you achieve, but what you're able to give to the broader community. What we sometimes see is people talking about their community experience and their academic experience and how it's benefited them as a person, absolutely. But you then need to have an outside look at how it's going to contribute back to the broader Australian society. So it's being reflective is really important, and these are just little things that might make a tipping point of a difference for you being awarded and successful or not. And this is just because the calibre is so high, and these are the things we've noticed that people are able to articulate. It's great for me, but it's actually going to be even better for the people that are going to be the recipients of my knowledge or expertise or charitable purpose. So that's one thing I wanted to point out. The other thing for our scholarships is you need to be an Australian resident for 5 years or more, and for the 10-year period, the current 10-year period, you need to have lived in Australia for 5 years. You also need to attend an interview in person. So if you know you're going to be overseas or you're going to travel at that time, our website will tell you when the interviews will be taking place. That'll be on the website. Then we won't be able to interview, which will make you ineligible. We can Skype in extenuating circumstances, but that would be a case by case, and it's very rare. And I've seen where we've done both, and it is of much greater benefit to you to be in person at the interview as much as possible. It gives you the absolute best chance to be able to have that face-to-face interaction and eye contact with the whole panel rather than just through a Skype process. The other thing that I guess all of us will offer you is an opportunity to become part of an alumni. So, and that's a really valuable process, and again, you can apply again for our scholarships if you're not successful the next year. It doesn't rule you out for a year or two. But if you are successful and become part of alumni, then for the Menzies alumni, what we've seen is that is a very strong network of highly capable people that you will have access to. And it also, we've also seen a number of our alumni become very senior in their chosen fields of work. So scholarships, again, if you're successful, do propel you at some level into, I guess, a body of people who provide you with access to seniority in your chosen profession. So that's why it's worth having a go time and time again. We're not age limited in terms of being able to apply. We do have our scholarships cover your university course overseas, and it's each year they're changed depending on the exchange rate, so it's not a fixed rate. We will, even if the dollar goes up or down, our international scholarships, we will cover the entire university fee. And we will also provide a stipend as well, usually around $15,000 Australian dollars per year, each year for, just living expenses. We also pay for the return airfare as well for you to get there and get back if you come back within 12 months. So just a few little things that you might be curious to know about. Just in ending, I guess, what we are looking for and what we're noticing with young people who are coming for the interviews are not only the level of intelligence, but the level of innovation and thinking that they put around why they want to do this particular course. You will probably be asked, I know we certainly ask this in our interviews, is why do you want to do this course overseas? Why can't you get this knowledge in Australia, given that we are an incredible nation, fortunately, of academic knowledge here already? What is it about this course that why you need to do it somewhere else that you can't get in Australia? You really need to be able to answer that question. And upon return, how are you going to use that knowledge for not only yourself, your professional network, but also the broader community? Lastly, I'd end by saying that it would be worth, if you're applying for one of our scholarships, just knowing a little bit about Sir Robert, just because we are a memorial trust, memorial foundation, so we're not going to grill you on his political history, but just a little bit about the man and perhaps his difference he made to education. Again, reading the newspapers, reading the financial reviews, there's a number of books coming out and particularly that are in memory of various people each year, just having a little bit of an understanding about how some of these long-standing trusts and foundations have been established and what their absolute purpose is from the outset is very important for you to research before you come in as well. So thank you very much.